Hello everybody and welcome back to TechPress. In today's tutorial, we're going to be talking into another project management called ClickUp. So let's just get started. As usual, guys, I'm going to be talking about what exactly is ClickUp. I'm going to be focusing into why choosing ClickUp. So in this video, what we're going to be covering it up is to setting up your account. Let's talk about the home screen. We're going to be talking about creating spaces, folder, different list, adding your first task and subtask. We're going to be choosing the BOS list. We have the setting up automations. We have the team collaborations. ClickUp, docs and wikis. We have mobile application, and of course pricing and plans before we dive into this actual application that is ClickUp. So with all of this information, let's just get started. So as usual, in order to get started, I'm going to be leaving you guys a link down below in the description so you can sign up totally for free and you might be getting a few rewards just by signing up. So if you click down below in the description, you're going to be seeing something like this: sign up for free and start using ClickUp in seconds. So what I'm going to be doing here is just to type my Gmail. I'm going to hit now into next. And just like that, my account should now be created automatically. So just hit now into next. And we're actually good to go. Now, usually if you wanted to change your, let's say, your language, what you can do is to just make sure that you're actually using the application.clickup.com, and here what you can see, we have the sign up button. Later on I can see the ES for Spanish or ENG for English, and so on and on. So lastly, what I need to do is to confirm my actual account with the email confirmation so I can continue. So now, as you can see, we are inside of ClickUp. So what I'm going to be doing here in order to focus to get started is to focus into the actual dashboard. So as you can see, into the part we have the home, the notifications. I'm going to hit now to show more. We have goals now. We have the favorite, different pages, the dashboard, and documents. Down here, as you can see, we have our accounts, the ClickUp 3.0. It's going to be really great. So I have the invitation and the upgrade button. Now, as all the project management tools, we have this banner that says getting started. So it's going to be helping us to understand how the actual workspace works. So we can create an actual workspace brand new. We can create an actual space, adding a task and adding a custom field. So I'm going to click now into the X section for now. So in order to get started, before I focus now, just check out here into the upper side, we have the different view list. So into the right part, we have automation, we have the shell buttons, and down here we have the recall track, reminder, notepad, new docs, and much more. So in order to get started, let's say that I wanted to get started with my new actual spaces. So let's click here into new space. And now here we can try to use a new one or choose an actual template. What I do in order to get started is to choose an actual template, so you can figure out which one fits for you the best. And speaking about project management, you can choose into search template, and let's go for project management. And as you can see, we have the agile project management. We have the project management here into the quick use, construction project management, marketing, PMO, engineering and product, and much more. So usually what I do is to try to look for the quick and use to see if the template is helpful for me or not. So I have now this new team space. I can go into my everything. I have the project. And now, as you can see, we have this construction section, and I can go for board, calendar, and you can see there's a lot of stuff that you can use for an actual template. If you're like me, that you actually don't want to work with an actual template, you wanted to get started with an actual something brand new. So let's go for Tech Express space. I'm gonna hit into next, of course. Now you can change the color if you wanted to. Let's go for something yellow. And here into search avatars, let's try to look for an actual light. So I'm going to click this one and hit now into next. Now, this one is a share TechExpress space. So if I wanted to add members into my space, I can choose this workspace or choose private. So that's totally optional. In my case, I'm going to go for workspace. And now, what task status do you want? earlier we were actually working with Monday and we were actually creating some tasks or status, and here into ClickUp it's really great that we can do exactly the same thing, and it's really awesome that it's going to be asking us to do that before we create the actual template, which I think is really accurate and great. So we do have, for example, this template, so I can go for content, Kanban, I have the marketing, have Notebook of the Axel Scrum. So I kind of like this one. We can add a new status if you wanted to. Let's say, for example, that instead of choosing the one that says blocked, I can double click and let's go for started. And instead of going for rejected, I can just delete this. I have the status review and let's go for creating. And now I have the done status, close it. And if you liked it, just go into save the template, hit into next, and there we go. Now we can have the enable the click applications. You can turn all of those off if you want to, or you can turn all of them on. Now this one should be helpful for people who are working with team members. For example, let's say that I am working with somebody from elsewhere. I'm working online. So what I want to do is to track their time. So I wanted to know how much time they actually worked inside my, in this case, my social medias. So I can assign the time tracker directly down in here. I have the time tracking. So I can do so much more than that. Let's go for email, priority, text, multiple assignments, and lastly, let's go for time estimates. Let's go for next. And as you can see, we have now the required views of the default settings for views. I can choose to, let's say, choose my own or choose default view templates. So I'm going to go here into required views, and I'm going to be enabling just 4 of them. Let's go here into activity, calendar, list, and boards. After that, let's go for review space. And here is all the information that we have just created automatically. If you kind of like what you're seeing here, let's go for create your space. And there we go. We have our very first and easy project management tool. Now, let's try to create our very first task. So you can choose, in this case, we have the list view. So before we actually create our very first task, I'm going to be showing you the listing views. Into the upper side, we have the list. This is that we have by default. I have the board, I have the calendar, and I have the activity. I can create a new one if I want to. Let's go for add view. And let's say, for example, that I wanted to go for, let's go for map. Map views to visualize all your tasks that were created using located custom fields. I have the whiteboards, for example. I can go here into add whiteboard. And there we go. The actual whiteboard is actually working. So I can create a new whiteboard if I wanted to, or I can do this later. So in order to create my very first task, I'm going to go for board, which I think is really helpful to get started with. And I can change the listing view. So let's say, for example, that here I have the open, I have the pending, the in progress, and all of that. So I'm going to go here into edit my status. And here into open, I'm going to create my very first task. So I'm going to go back here into my team spaces, which is actually this one. I'm going to hit into task name. And let's go for create YouTube video. Now let's go into save. And as you can see, we now have our very first task open. So if I click it, it's going to be popping up the full section of my actual task. So inside, let's say, for example, that I have a to-do list. Inside, I have some subtasks. So I needed to create a YouTube video. But there's a lot of stuff that implement inside this actual task. For example, creating a catchy title. I have now a new subtask. Now let's say, for example, that I needed to record the whole video. Now let's say that after we have recorded the video, let's say that I needed to edit the video. After you edit the video, we can create some marketing tools in order to publish it, of course. Now I have the publishing. And there we go. Now, if I click into this to-do list of the subtask, I have something, a new section. So for example, creating a catchy title. So to create a catchy title, please use, let's say trends.google.com. So this is just an example, of course, if you wanted to do this in yourself. So I can add an actual checklist inside the catchy title. So add checklist. So let's say Google Trends app created a few ideas for a catchy title, and title selected. These are the 3 checklists that I need to be done in order to create a catchy title. So now that I have all of these elements, I wanted to assign this to a specific person of the actual team members. To the upper side, I have the assign, so I have only me. I can add new ones if we go back, of course, and we go into invite people into my actual space. Now, to save a little bit of time, save your clicks, type // So this one should be really helpful to create a few comments. For example, I can make the suggestions to add an actual table. So let's say 1, 2, 3, idea, let's say for example, how to reach to, this is 3 ideas that I have to have an actual catchy title. Now, if you wanted to see the progress of your stuff, I can go back into the list. And as you can see, we have now this collapsible stuff. So I can go and uncollapse it. And I have now my subtask in here. And I have the assign stuff. So I have now the open section of the status, and I can change this for in progress if I know that this one has actually been worked. In review, edit the video, pending, and pending, all of them. So now that I have here created my very first task, how do I know how much do I have into this actual stuff? So I'm going to scroll a little bit down, and as you can see, I have my 5 subtasks. If I wanted to see the progress of the whole task, what I can do is to close this window. Now let's go into the activity section, and as you can see, we have a different list down here. So into the activity, I can see and show all the subtasks, so I can see what happens and when it was the last time that they have been working on. So remember that in order to create our first collaborator or team member, down here it says invite. I'm going to type the email, comma, or just space separate to add much more than just one member, and you can add them whether you wanted to add them as a member or as an administrator, what you're actually up to. In this case, I just wanted to focus to work with myself, so I'm going to go into cancel, and there we go. So now we have created our very first space, and as you can see, the construction project management template has been now created automatically. So as you can see into this new template, you can see that we have different sections. For example, project name number 1, they have created some instructions, they have created some tasks, and inside the actual task, they have created a few subtasks. They have created like the budget, the stage, the site preparation, some tracking, there's not to-do list, there's the created, time track it, the estimate tribe, and all of that. So what I'm going to be doing here is to close this. I'm just using this to make yourself have like an idea of what you can actually do here and to click up. So now that we know how to create our very first space, how to create our very first task, and how to work with the actual view section, let's now focus into automations. So for that, I'm going to go back into TechSpress space, and as you can see, I have like a YouTube video task. So let's go into the upper side. It says automations, and let's go for active automation. Now, what I want to do is to go for new automation. Now, what exactly is an actual automation, speaking about the project management? So that means that when something happens, you want to let the application do something automatically, of course, after something happens. For example, let's say that when this happens, do this. And how we can do this? we can go here directly into the custom automation builder. And as you can see, we have the when this happens to task or subtask. So let's say that when on task, status changes from, let's go from active to closed. Status changes. Let's go all subtasks resolved. So that means that when all of this happens, then changed a segment, I'm gonna go for all task resolved. So let's go for all checklist resolved. Let's go for apply a template or, so check this out. When all the checklists are resolved, so that means everything has now been successfully done, we can delete the task automatically. Now I'm going to hit into create and we have now something active. So how do I make sure this automation that is actually really easy to use is actually working? I'm going to hit now into the X mark. And now as you can see, we have this task, right? So let's click into the board listing section. I'm going to go here into this new section that says the subtask. And what I want to do is to change this from in progress to completed. So I can close this. And let's say that I change this from open, pending, in progress. And I'm going to be moving on this into completed. Let's go into the list. And I'm going to change this for completed. I change this for completed as well. I change this for completed, and lastly have the completed section. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 section been completed, and there we go. So now as you can see, I have the YouTube video closed. So if I go here where it says closed, you can see that my project automatically is now been deleted. It's not available into the actual list anymore. Why is that? Because we created an actual automation that says that when all checklists are resolved, delete the task. So let's say that I go here into the X section. I'm going to go for a new task. And let's go for do your laundry. Now I'm going to click here. I have the subtask. Let's say do 1, do 2, and do number 3. I close this. I open this once again. And here it says open. Let's go into closed. Closed. Go into the board. And here appears my working projects. They're now being successfully closed. So now you know how the automation works, which that brings us into the integrations. If you go and focus in here, down here, and you have the task, I'm going to go here. And as you can see, we have the record clip, track time, the reminder, the notepad, new documentation, a new whitelist, and calendar and task tray. This one can be really helpful for, let's say, team members are going to be really creative and they wanted to get started with, say, for example, like a whiteboard ideas. And if you wanted to import this as a private, I'm going to hit into create my whiteboard. And automatically we're now being created like this. You can create a template for free. Let's say that I wanted to go for a concept mapping, and you have now this concept mapping created right away. And you can just go into double click and change this stuff. For example, the main concept of it, let's go for YouTube. And here, instead of going with the sub concept, I can go for video number 1, we have video number 2, there's video number 3, and so on and on and on. So usually all of these actual whiteboard ideas are going to be really helpful for people who wanted to be, once again, creative into the actual project management, or they want to do, let's say, just create like a video chat and talk about the YouTube project or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that can be really useful to help your team members work directly into ClickUp. Now, if I focus into the left part, it says the home and notifications. Let's go into goals. Goals are going to be really helpful to break down your measurable targets and track progress in real time. If I go into the set goal, I have the goal name. So let's say, for example, that my goal name is to create 10 YouTube videos. Let's go into OK. The owner should be myself, of course. And who access to this goal, let's say everyone is inside the Steam Workspace workflow. Is there any date that we need it to be completed by? Let's say by the 27th of October. I'm going to hit into done. And now to do this work, we needed to complete 10 video tasks. OK. OK once again. And now I have successfully created my very first goal. So I can create an actual target. Now the target should be bringing and breaking down my goal into different pieces. So my target are when something is completed. So my target is to create a video number 1. I'm going to hit into OK. The owner should be once again myself. Now the number, how do we want to measure the result? By number, by true or false, by the currency, by task. I choose task. Now here I have the task number 1, and let's go for video number 1. I can browse my task so I can create a new one, or I can add my very first create new listing, for example, YouTube, like this. And I'm going to click in here and I add my very first task. So I can choose, let's say, for example, YouTube video, YouTube video, YouTube video, YouTube video, YouTube video, YouTube video. I have 10 of them already been added. Let's go into OK. And now, as you can see, I have my actual target with 7 tasks and only 1 list. So that means when I finish to do an actual task, this section should be now being created automatically. So I can go back into my actual spaces. Let's go here into the TextPress space. And here I have the actual board. When you create something and automatically goes to complete it, the goal should automatically been filled as you are creating your actual target. So this is something that actually really worthy for people who want to track goals, to measure the results, and much more. Now into the dashboard section, we have the private dashboard. And lastly, before we finish the actual video, let's talk about the pricing that appears for different plans inside the actual ClickUp. So we all know how to work with goals. We all know how to work with spaces. You now know how to create different tasks, sub-tasks, to assign, to change the due date, to change the actual list, and a lot of elements, how to make automations, easy automations, and you can use or browse other automations if you don't know how to get started with something actually manual and easy. So now let's focus into the actual plan. How much does all of this actually cost to us? Let's go here down where it says upgrade. And as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, even 4 different plans. We have the enterprise plans that actually comes with something truly massive. So we don't want to focus into something massive. We just wanted to create something that is actually really important and measured and accurate for us. So what a lot of people do is to focus into the actual business stuff. So here we're actually using a trial plan of the unlimited section. We are able to use all the free plan features. We have unlimited storage, unlimited spaces to create, unlimited custom fields, giant chart, the time tracking, the artificial intelligence compatible, and there's much more elements. Speaking about much more, we can focus into adding the essentials, for example, guest, custom fields, templates of everything, different points of views, customization, collaboration, reporting, and much more. But there's a lot of stuff that you are not able to do with the actual unlimited version. For example, we are not able to have custom fields. We are not able to add conditional logic in forms. We cannot do some white labeling or a few calibration stuff. We can add gold folders, time into status, bring reporting. All of the stuff that we have talked about before are inside the business plan. So I believe it's really worthy to check out the business plan for only $12 per month. I think it's really great, but you wanted to make sure that if you wanted to pay it only by month, you wanted to change from yearly to monthly, because these plans come directly from yearly. So that means that if you play a yearly plan, you're going to be having like 20 up to 30% discount. But you want to make sure which one fits for you the best, how much you are with your actual budget, and so on and on and on. So with that being said, guys, I think we can knock out the basics. You now know how to work here into the actual ClickUp. You now know the actual prices of these ClickUp. You now know everything about how to create starting with different list views, how to create an automation, how to create your very first task, how to create a different subtask, how to invite people to add your team members inside the ClickUp, how to create your new spaces, how to even create and use a new template. So you can use this template to edit it as you are working inside these new templates. For example, we have talked about the construction project management, and you can see all of the elements that comes inside it. So you can choose to edit all of the elements and use them as your actual own favor. So with that being said, guys, you have now reached to the very end of the video. Now, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you wanted to see more great tools of project management. We talked about Asana, ClickUp, there's Notion, there's a lot of applications. We have a lot of descriptive and comparative videos of all of them into our YouTube channel. So I'm going to leave you once again the link down below in the description. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Once again, we can't wait to see what you can create here and to ClickUp with all your team members. Thank you so much for watching the video once again, guys. See you next time.